sweet beefy noodles. This one looks really simple, but I've got a few little techniques up my sleeve that make this noodle dish even more amazing. These are my Hoisin beef noodles. Alright, so I have a problem, well I used to have a problem with beef noodles. Whenever I used beef mince for my noodles, I found that they got a little watery, they were kind of grey, and just not altogether really special. So I decided, how can I make my beef noodles more beefy? Well, this is the solution. Really simple, but works so well. So first we're going to start with the beef in the wok. And what I want to do here is really kind of char the beef and evaporate any of the juices. You'll see what I mean. Let's get going. I want a little bit of oil in here. Doesn't matter whether you're doing this in a wok or a pan, the technique is still the same. Now make sure this is like sizzling hot. I want to hear that beef as soon as it hits the pan. Now, one word on the beef. I do like beef with a little bit of fat, and I think it actually works better with flavor and texture. So my beef is a little fatty. You want to see the smoke, hear the sizzle. It should be really dramatic. Spread the beef out and then do your best not to touch it. I just said that and then I touched it, but just listen, don't do what I'm doing, just listen and do what I'm saying. Let the beef sit there, and we're going to notice, and I'm starting to see it already, some of that liquid juiciness coming out, and it looks quite wet. So what I want to do is wait until that liquid evaporates, and that's when we're going to start to get the nice chariness on our beef. Trust me. Trying to touch it. It's really hard not to touch things. I'm going to put the spatula down. Don't touch it. So when everything starts to smell kind of like a seared hamburger, take a look in the pan and you can see almost all of that liquid is gone. It's quite dry, and I can see some lovely little brown bits starting to happen there. So the magic is happening. I'm just going to restrain myself a little bit longer. Just wait for just a little more chariness. Okay, now get in there and see how we've got some color there. I mean, it won't all be uniformly brown, but those brown charry bits will add so much more flavor and beefiness to the rest of our noodle stir fry. So now I'm going to go in with some onions. And the key here is not to dump everything in here at once. So I want to give my onions some time. Onions are just a little soft, starting to char a little bit, so I'm going to add some garlic. So we're kind of doing things a little bit backward, because I would usually add garlic, onion into the oil, and then my protein. Okay, toss that garlic through, and I don't want the garlic to burn, so I'm just going to give that a couple of tosses. And now in with some napa cabbage that I've got here, also known as Chinese cabbage or wombok, depending on where you are. I know, in Australia we have weird names for things. Wombok is such a weird name, but wombok is what we call it in Australia. So there's some information that you might not have known. Toss that around. Right, so now my shredded cabbage. Well, I just added shredded cabbage. So now my shredded carrot. And at this point, you should be looking at a stir fry that is beautifully dry, so not watery. I can smell the beautiful like charry beef, and my cabbage and carrot are still a little tender, but my onion is nice and soft and sweet. So we've kind of got all these contrasting textures and flavors and everything already. And we're just going to pause there, turn the heat off. Let's do some noodle work. Now I've got some beautiful fresh Chinese egg noodles here. You could use some prepackaged ramen noodles if you've got them, or even thicker noodles like Hokkien noodles, that's fine as well. The key here is that I don't want to overcook the noodles here, because I want them to cook further in the pan and soak up all that sauce that we're going to add later. So just some boiling water, in the noodles go. And after just a few seconds, I'm going to take the pan straight off over to my wok, turn that beef back on, and get the noodles straight in. And now for all the saucy stuff. I'm going to add in some oyster sauce, some Hoisin sauce, some dark sweet soy sauce. This is for a little bit of color. You could just use regular Chinese dark soy sauce as well. It doesn't have to be the sweet kind. And then my little secret ingredient here is a dash of white vinegar, just to cut through the sweetness and add a little bit of kind of lift to the whole flavor. And now toss everything together. A little bit of greenery here. I want some spring onion. Okay, now that is looking really amazing. I love that. And see, we're all concentrated in here because we got rid of all the liquid from the beef. So that sauce is really tasty, really concentrated, sticking to every strand of noodle, every little morsel of beef. Now a little bit more spring onion here, a little sprinkling of sesame seeds. Ooh, and that is one good looking plate of noodles. And of course I'm going to try it just, you know, to be either just cruel to you guys or just to let you know that, you know, they are really good. You know what hits you straight away is that kind of charry, intense sweetness of the sauce. And then you get the really beefy flavor coming through. Yum. Beef noodles that actually taste beefy. Love it. I hope you guys love this one too. Yum. Lucky I made a huge plate.